So now Laban continues. You see, Laban and Jacob just had this wonderful memorial set up with a sacrifice. And Laban had just made a show of force to show, oh, come on, snap. There you go. To show that he had the power to snuff him out. But he couldn't because God intervened. So now we have Laban continuing. So the title of today's lesson is The Mitzpah Curse. Now I'll tell you why. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between me and thee this day." Therefore was the name of it Galid and Mitzpah. So it had two names, Galid and Mitzpah. For he said, "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. And if thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, and no man is with us, see, God is witness between me and thee." So let's unpack this. It sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? We can read over it and get verses jump out at us, but let's unpack it. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between me and thee this day." Therefore was the name of it called Galid and Mitzvah. It was a witness of the covenant made between them that day, and a witness against them should they break it. Really? Yeah, let's unpack it. As was mentioned before, Galid meant heap of testimony, representing the testimonial agreement made between the two, Laban and Jacob. But Mitzpah meant watchtower. And you see, we think of a watchtower as being a tower in a prison yard or a tower, a ranger station, because they keep watch. No, what is meant here is we built this pillar standing up to signify that God is watching you. It is a watch tower. So, to make this point, Laban said, "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another." You know, many Christian meetings end that way. They end it as a blessing. They take this out of verse 49 and they say a blessing. The Lord, and they say it in unison sometimes too. "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another." And so many people say this as a blessing. You know what? Until we meet again, let the Lord watch between me and thee. But that is not what Laban was saying. He made this point that this is going to be a memorial to watch between them. And he said, "The Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another." What he was really saying, "The Lord punish the trespasser between me and you when we are absent one from the other." After returning to their homes, they would not be able to see each other or what one another did in agreement or disagreement with this covenant. But he makes it abundantly clear that the Lord sees and knows all things, and therefore pronounces. And really, this is what Laban meant. He pronounced a curse that God would watch over them both, them and their actions, and bring upon them the evil or the good according to their actions, or as they broke or kept this covenant. He meant it as a curse. What he was saying was, the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent one from another. What he was saying is, God is watching you. It's like when we say to each other, when our enemies are there, and then, I'm watching you. And that's what Laban was saying. God is watching you. See, many people call this the Mitzpah blessing, like I just said. But nothing could be further from the truth. You see, the context was that Laban really wanted to emphasize how much he disliked, how much he hated Jacob. Oh, no, this did not stand for blessing, communion, or fellowship, but rather it indicated a temporary truce, a separation, a menace, a warning. In effect, the pillar of Mitzpah, the watchtower, pronouncement meant, if you come over to my side of the line, I'll kill you. The covenant breaker would need God to take care of him, because if he was caught, the other would fight him to death or have him killed. Or as we say now, he'd have him shoot to kill. Oh yes, this is clearly hinted at in verse 52, where it says, verse 52, it says this heap of witness, this pillar of witness, will not pass over this heap from one side to the other. And that the person who's going to cross it, it's going to be harmed. Oh no, that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. Really? Really? Yes. And you see how we take a lot of verses and we take them out of context? It's a nice thought. We break up a Christian meeting and we say, the Lord watch over you and me while we're absent from each other until we see each other again. But that's not the context. Furthermore, Jacob is warned that any form of spousal abuse or adultery would be witnessed by God too. God is witness between me and thee. God is omniscient, which means he knows it all. Omnipresent, which means he can be present anywhere. He sees and observes all the actions of men and women and deals with them accordingly, and so will be a witness for or against each of us, as we shall behave in observing or not observing the terms of this covenant. All of that was meant when Laban said, the Lord watch between me and thee. So, that was the covenant, or Mitzpah covenant. Do you realize that when Christians receive Jesus into their lives, they also entered into a covenant. Consider these words. If ye love me, keep my commandments. What? I can't just say, I love you, and then do my own thing? No, 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 no. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. That's John 14, verse 15. How about John 14, verse 23? Jesus said to him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and will come unto him, and make our abode with him. Wow. How about John 15:10? If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. John 15:12, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. That's his commandment. If we keep his commandment, he will love. Whoa, come on, come on. You mean to say that I have to love the guy that is unlovable? A lot to think about, isn't it? These things I command you, that you love one another. Can I go back to John 14:15? If you love me, keep my commandments. Serious thought. Do you realize it's only by God's Holy Spirit that it is possible for us to do exactly that? Laban entered into a covenant based on hate. Mind you, what it had in common was God will bless you if you keep to that covenant. But it said that God will curse you if you don't. So Laban entered into a covenant based on hate of Jacob. But our covenant of obedience with Jesus is rooted. Yes, it's rooted in love.